Hello there. My name is Ron LeGrand, and I've been around for about 33 years now, buying and selling houses, and have thousands and thousands and thousands of students all over North America doing the same thing, and probably been teaching it for 25, 27 of those 33 years. In the process, I'm still buying and selling houses. Right up to this very day, I do about 4 to 6 of them a month right here in my city of Jacksonville, Florida. I do them almost hands-off, taking less than 10 hours a week or 10 hours a month of my time, and I certainly don't use any of my money or credit. I've had many requests from our folks to talk about, well, how do I get started, and what do I need to do business, and what are the steps that I need to learn, and I'm going to do that for you right now. This lesson should be called How to Get Started. And first of all, you should know that anybody can do this business. I mean, I don't care where you live. I don't care what city you live in. I don't care about your background. Your credit is totally irrelevant. You're never going to use it. If you have a very limited budget, that's why most people actually start. Although, you know, I've got people coming in from all walks of life. I got from surgeons all the way down to the unemployed, and they're all looking for the same thing: more money. More money now, more money monthly, and more money later without risk. So it's all about making money without using your money and without risking everything that you have. In fact, there's 3 big mistakes that you can make. Number 1, we don't write checks. If we don't write checks, we can't lose check. It ain't rocket science. So we don't write checks to buy real estate. If we do, they're small checks with full intention of getting those checks back quickly with larger checks. Number 2, we don't guarantee debt. That, my friend, is the largest mistake you can make, is going down to the bank and signing on a note personally. If you do, you risk 3 things. You risk your assets, you risk your credit, and you risk your marriage. For what? To buy a house. We don't guarantee debt to buy a house. We learn how to buy it by leveraging our brain, not our wallet. I'll cover that in just a second. And then number 3, we don't make promises we can't keep. We don't make promises we can't keep, then we don't have to worry about keeping them, and remember who we lied to last. Everything we do is above board. We close with attorneys. We don't take advantage of anyone. And everybody wins, or we don't do the deal. And since we close with attorney, you can go to bed knowing that everything is done correctly, and you don't have to worry about forms and agreements that you don't understand. So let's get down to the basics. And let's assuming you're watching this and you've not done real estate, or you've done it so far back you forget how to spell real estate. Let's go back to the basics. So let's start with the profit centers. There are several ways to make money in real estate. In fact, they're not all up here, but this is where you're going to make most of your money right here. One or more of these things. Number 1 is rehabbing. Everybody knows you can buy properties cheap and rehab them and sell them to the consumer, getting them refinanced, getting them a loan, and cashing out. I've done about 700 of those deals over the years and still do from time to time. However, that's the hardest way to make money there is out of the 4. Buying a house, raising the capital, hiring contractors, finding buyers, and all of that's going to take months, usually about 6 months or so before you get that check. The minimum check that I want anybody making when they rehab a house today is a bare minimum of $30,000, and I tell all of my students, if you can make 30, you can make 50. So I know that might be a stretch for your imagination right now, but I expect you to make at least $50,000 net profit on every rehab you do, or you might want to consider the other ways of doing business. Again, this comes with the most costly entanglements. Wholesaling, however, is very simple. Put a property under contract, and I flip the contract probably to a rehabber. And my net here is a minimum of $10,000, but I don't have any responsibilities toward the property. I never take title to it. I don't own it. It's basically a paper shuffle. I get a contract to buy it, get it signed by the seller, quite often a bank, and then I flip it to a buyer and pick up a check for the difference. I have to learn how to buy it cheap enough so that I can still sell it cheap enough so that my rehabbers are interested in it. But my friends, I've got thousands of people all over the country doing wholesaling, some of them doing nothing but wholesaling. Believe it or not, I've got people making 7 figures annually just doing wholesaling and not buying houses. So it is most certainly one of the fastest ways to make money in real estate today is wholesaling a house. These 2 here, however, rehabbing and wholesaling, they are what we call the ugly house business. Both of these require an all-cash purchase or an all-cash offer. Now, wholesaling does not require that you ever come up with the cash. Your buyer is coming up with the cash. You're just flipping the contract to your buyer. but somebody's got to pay cash up here, which means you've got to have a deeply discounted price to make the ugly house side of the business work. Ugly house means a synonym for an all-cash purchase. Doesn't necessarily mean they're all that ugly. Down here, however, is the totally opposite side of the business. This is the pretty house business. Down here, we don't deal with the low-end properties. We don't pay cash for them. And in fact, most of them, we don't even get at deeply discounted prices. And in fact, in the pretty house business, we actually sometimes can pay more than market value and still make a ton of money. Because here, our goal is to get terms from the seller so that we can offer terms to our buyer and get a check for the difference between what we agreed to give the seller as a down payment, if anything, and what we get from our buyer, our tenant buyer, as a deposit or a down payment if we're selling it with owner financing. Sometimes these check can go in fact, I just did one where I netted $50,000 on a deal where I bought it with terms and sold it with terms, and I still own the house. I haven't sold it, I lease optioned it actually. So this is a huge, big old, beautiful business right here that deals with houses from the medium price on up, all the way into multi-million-dollar houses where you live without risk. We don't use our money, we don't use our credit. We create or take over terms that are already existing so that we can offer them to the marketplace and allow our buyers to have terms at least long enough for them to get some financing, which is from between 1 to 3 years. 80% of the marketplace cannot qualify for a loan. That's 80% that are all ours in this part of the business. So the goal is very simple. Find the sellers who will allow us to get in with a lease purchase or owner financing so that we can offer terms to our buyer, which is either going to be a lease purchase or owner financing. So if I get in with nothing down on the lease option and a buyer comes in and gives me $20,000 deposit, then that $20,000 goes right in my bank account. Plus I might get a monthly spread, and of course I hope to sell it for more than what I'm paying for it to the seller. So these are the 4 ways to make money today. Honestly, the fastest way is to get a deposit or down payment from the terms business. That's even faster than wholesaling a junker. Rehabbing, there's nothing fast about it, but the checks are rather large. So somewhere on here is your first check or your next check. I do all of these things and strongly suggest you do as well. If you come on to Planet Ron, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to learn the real estate business, not just one of these things, and walk through the whole business with blinders on, which is what some investors do. They get started up here probably doing this, and they just years go by and they don't see the rest of this big old beautiful business. All right, let's go over here and look at the 5 steps to your success in this business. In fact, these are your 5 steps in this business or any other business. I don't care what business you have. If you're a doctor, if you're a retailer, if you're a real estate agent, you're a real estate investor, if you're a restaurant owner, these are your same 5 steps. Step number 1, you must locate prospects. If you don't locate prospects, you don't need to worry about the other 4 steps because you don't have a business. No matter what you sell, product or service, you have to attract people that are interested in your product or service. As a real estate investor, I'm looking for people who have a house for sale. And then we're going to quickly pre-screen them. And in fact, I don't even pre-screen them. We have virtual assistants do it for us. They make the calls to these people and fill out a property information sheet that tells us whether they're a suspect or a prospect. And we don't even get involved until that sheet is in our hands and the seller has said yes, they will take terms. And when they say yes, the seller has actually constructed and presented offers to us, because it's nothing more complicated than we have a series of questions built into the scripts that I've created over the years that we ask the seller, and the seller comes back with the answers, and there go, we know if they're interested in terms or not. Questions like, well, what's the least you could sell it for if we were to come to agreement on the terms? And okay, may I assume you'll sell it with nothing down? And if the answer is no, well, what's the least you could take down? And what's the least you could take per month? By the time these questions are asked to the people who have already said yes, they will take terms, we know exactly what they're looking for. Very easy to determine who we want to do business with. Make an appointment, go out to the house, follow up, get a contract signed, and close it quickly. These are the 5 steps to your success. And when you learn these steps and how to get them automated and let somebody else doing all the work for you, this business really becomes so easy. There's only one thing that I do to make these 5 steps apply in my real estate business, and that is I make decisions. Somebody else is doing all the rest of this work. All of it. I mean 100% of it. I decide what sellers that need to be called and what deal I'll accept when they make me the offer. And if you don't understand what I just said, come on board, come into Planet Ron, and you will shortly. This business has never been so systemized and automated in my entire 33 years. So let's go over here and talk about what we need to do business. It's very simple. All you need is a cell phone. You will need one of those. I'm sure you already have one. By the way, if you don't have a smartphone, time to get one. All right. And then you're going to need some proper training that's available to you if you like. And you're going to need a little operating capital. Little operating capital means less than $1,000 a month, and that's assuming you hire virtual assistants. We here at Global Publishing have a whole room full of virtual assistants that do all of that work I just described for our clients. They make the calls, they call the sellers, they do all that secretarial stuff while we just make decisions. So we will supply you with the virtual assistants you need, and that's part of your operating cost. We will set you up with a website. We'll provide you with everything you need to sell houses with, so that the grunt work, the secretarial work, is out of your life. The worst thing can happen to you is you get bogged down in minutia. You don't have time to get anything done. We're not going to let that happen to you on Planet Ron. So if you want in, plenty of places for you to get the training, and plenty of help available here for you. All you got to do is ask. Go investigate it yourself. And in fact, on your screen right now, you'll see a place to go just get information about virtual assistants if you'd like to know that as well. We can get you in any level that you want to come on in, and then you can progress as you see fit. You'll need some transportation, of course, because somebody's got to go look at those houses sooner or later. And yes, we both know it's going to be you. By the way, I've got a lot of students who are doing business in one city and live in another city. All they've done, well, I do it myself. I have students all over the country that I partner with, and we do 50-50 on deals. All I need is boots on the ground, so somebody to go look at the property, and so we can live in one city and do these deals anywhere. Anyway, it's a big old beautiful world we live in, this quick turn real estate stuff. So if this is your first time being exposed to it, go ahead and jump in, and you'll see there's an awful lot of money. I'm making millionaires all over North America. Might as well be you.